That's the drunkard woman. They're drinking alcohol. It's Ronnie, the drunkards. So that's the drunkard woman and the drunkard man, and Ronnie sitting out there drinking. So I don't know what happened. That white car there at the foot of the stairwell where Ronnie and the drunkards are standing, drinking. That's Ronnie's car there at the foot of that stairwell next door. That white car further away, between my Durango and Ronnie's car, back by the trees. That's the drunkard woman's car. And that red four-door car in front of that swing set, that's the drunkard man's car. That white Sentra is Rowan's car, and my red Durango is right there. And the blue SUV parked right there belongs to the tenant of 132 downstairs. So they're drinking. They're holding red cups and sipping on them. So they're fussing about something about Ronnie's car. They were the ones that rode up playing loud music. Ronnie has a big, huge speaker in the back of his car. There's also a man that's sitting over in front of the storage room below Pat and Ronnie's apartment. He just walked into the storage room. They'll put their beer in there and go and get it. Yeah, they've already been drinking a lot. You can tell by the way they're acting. You can tell it's alcohol because it's got ice in it. As you can see, that's what they're treating it like. I don't know any of these people. I've never met any of them. I've never talked to any of them. Don't know them. There's Gizmo. And the drunkard man just went to his car. He got a straw out. There's Gizmo. I don't know. I thought she said she's calling the police. Maybe she wasn't. There was a cop I was talking to, and this was like a month ago, and I was talking to him in a parking lot and just asking him questions, trying to find out information about this and that, and I asked from the hole in the ground, basically, and he told me that if there are people drinking that don't live at your property, but they're drinking on your property, that they can make them leave if they're not your guest and they're behaving erratically, even if it's private property. There's a black guy in a gray sweatshirt in front of Ronnie's shed. He's sitting in a chair next to that stairwell behind Ronnie's car. So they roll up with music booming and stuff like that, and then they start drinking. And then now they're talking, they're going to get into a fight. They'll start arguing while they're drinking. It's like watching the Ewoks in Star Wars to hear them do it because they make so much noise. And then they start arguing, And like that guy just smacked Ronnie in the head. So yeah, they're drinking. They drink so much. I just can't believe how much they drink. That's what's so amazing to me is that people can do that and be so disruptive that way. And, I mean, to the point, they'll start at 10 o'clock in the morning and drink till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, play loud booming music, and they'll get in arguments. So, I don't know any of those people down there. I've never met them. I've never talked to them. Ronnie, Pat. Pat's not down there, but I don't know him. And I don't want to. I don't ever have anything to do with people like that. You would not catch me dead with people like that. I would never behave that way. It's just not something I would ever do. I understand people like to have a good time and stuff like that, but these people, hours and sometimes days every week, do this. And, they're drinking hard liquor. I've never communicated with them verbally or non-verbally, nothing. Never stepped foot in any other dwelling or building on East Boulevard Street except for this apartment, which is on the second floor, 130.5 East Boulevard Street. So, yeah, they're holding coffee cups, and she just looked right up at me. I mean, they start screaming and chasing each other around the yard and fights and stuff, It's just really, I mean, I understand, people want to have a get-together and you want to behave in a civil manner, that's one thing, but these people are not that kind. They are very disruptive and get into fights. That black guy in the gray shirt got something out of Ronnie's front seat, and now he's walking over to the drunken woman's car. He's talking to somebody sitting in the front right passenger seat, and just put something with like a checkbook or something rectangular-shaped document into the front seat of the drunken woman's white car. I got that on video. I don't know him. I don't know the drunkards. I don't know Ronnie. I don't know who's sitting in that front seat. I've never had any contact with any of them. Never talked to them. Never had a conversation with any of them. I don't communicate verbally with them or non-verbally ever. So, and they'll do this, and they'll have somebody sitting in a car that's just sitting in the car that won't get out. And they have other cars that do that too. And they'll just sit in the car. And I guess it's because they don't want to show their face for some reason, while everybody else is just sitting around drinking. So, looks like it's about to rain, too. And it's 5 minutes till 2. And there's Gizmo. She's just sitting on the ground by the Sentra. I don't know who that is in that front passenger seat of the drunken woman's car. Looks like she drives an Impala. I was not in the living room when Roland answered the door. I was in Jake's bedroom. By the time she got up and knocked on the door, and Roland answered the door, I was in Jake's bedroom with the bedroom door of Jake's room closed. So, and I have never invited anybody to East Boulevard Street. Nobody. I've never invited anybody to come to this street, which would include, obviously, any houses on this street and our yard. And Jake's never invited anybody here either. Why would he? He can't, because Roland's a convicted sex offender. He can't have friends over here. I guess I was looking right up at me. That black guy was sitting in that chair. He was acting nervous, and then he looked up and saw that I was videotaping, and he went into, nervously went into the shed that is below Pat and Ronnie's apartment next door, and then he went and sat in Ronnie's front seat, and got something that looked like a checkbook or a check register out of it and took it to the woman sitting in the front right passenger seat of the white Impala there, and tucked it on inside of that car and spoke to that woman briefly and then walked back over to Pat and Ronnie like he just robbed a bank. I don't know any of these people. I've never met them. I've never spoken to them. I have no idea who any of them are. I know Ronnie lives next door, but they're not people I'd ever have anything to do with. I just don't associate with people who carry themselves that way and present themselves that way. Because it's trouble. The cops get called, neighbors get upset about it, and here's the mail lady. She doesn't have any mail to drop off here in this apartment building, so she's walking on up their yard. It's about to break up. Raining. And it sounds like Pat just came out of the second floor apartment next door. And she's sitting there playing on her phone. The drunkard woman is. Yeah, the drunkard man's looking over here. He just got something out of Pat's mailbox and handed it to Pat. And the drunkard woman is scrolling through her screens on her phone. You would not catch me dead having anything to do with people like that. I mean it. I mean, that's terrible to act that way, and it's nothing but trouble. But, if they've ever spent any money or anything, they've done it without my knowledge. If it's money that's supposed to be an expense for me and Jake or anything like that, and that's what my impression has been from observing their behavior. That's what they're falsifying. And I didn't show my face to them today, so there's no way they can say. I mean, I don't show my face to them. What they do is they'll sit out there and they'll wait for me to walk out the door, and then if I just open the door like Gizmo out without even sticking my head out the window, they will duck their heads down to look up at me and snap a phone up to their ear and make a phone call to somebody who I don't know. But obviously appears to be related to me, and they'll stand there and wait until I do open the door, and they've done it many times. So, it's not me just misinterpreting circumstance. It's happened so much. It's Thursday. It's not even Friday. This is still a business day. So, you can't make assumptions about spending money that's supposed to be used to pay for somebody else or paychecks from that's supposed to belong to somebody else if you've never had contact with that person. And any type of consent that's not given explicitly in writing in court, or usually you have to have power of attorney to engage in any type of activities where you're spending money that's somebody else's money or meant for somebody else. Durable power of attorney is what it's called. And that guy just looked like he was sneaking something, and it was paper. If you pull the tape back, it looks like it was some type of checkbook. And I'm guessing whoever's hiding in that car, somebody's saying that they're getting my permission to use that. If that's, what it looks like, but that's what he looked like he was doing, was sneaking. And now it looks like the guy with the gray jacket with a shirt on who did that went to give that checkbook to whoever's in that car, has gone into that shed. So all they're doing is lying. And nobody's ever spent a dime on Jake but me. Nobody ever does. And I've never given anybody permission to spend money. And these people, oh no, he was in the front seat of Ronnie's car. They'll do that, and whoever they bring, they just hide them in their car. They don't want me to say who it is. If I never see them, they never contact me. How could they possibly have permission for me to use a checkbook or a debit card or money that's supposed to be mine and Jake's? I don't ever have anybody else designated to do that. I've never signed any papers to legalize that. Judge would have to approve durable power of attorney, would have to interview me in a courtroom after it was put in writing. And barring that, the only way that you can assume consent to something like that is when consent is explicitly given. It has to be explicitly given with the full knowledge of what you're consenting to. It has to be explicitly stated to you. Well, it looks like they're having their drinking party again. What did she want? Was she not? What did she want? That woman.
Want to use my phone. Get back.
I don't know them, and I don't want to know them. Roland just walked out to the door. He's locking the door behind him. And he was pulling his cell phone out of his right pocket when he walked out, or something else. It looked like his cell phone. And she's looking right up here at me now. She knows. You know, it must have been his key. He's going to the center. And Roland didn't let the dogs out. He should have sent Sophie and Red out to go pee, and he didn't. I can't even tell who's in that car because the windows are dark. So I don't know who's sitting in that front passenger seat over there. I can't tell who it is. But you don't get to assume that it's okay to spend somebody else's money. That's not okay. There's no assuming consent to that. Roland just left in the Sentra, headed towards Cornwall. So I got to turn this off because I got to save my battery. Because if Roland doesn't come back, then I won't be able to go pick up Jake, and Jake will have to walk. Aircraft passing over. I need to videotape myself and my son nonstop. Because of these situations, that's why I'm texting Facebook, which takes a lot of time to do it. But they have no reason to think at all that they should have anything to do with me, my affairs or Jake's affairs. They don't know us. They've never had any contact with us. And I've never looked at them and nodded as though I consented to anything. And they've never stated to me at all that there was any type of money or financial resources available to me and my son. And why would somebody send that to them? Nobody supervises my son but me. And I've never been judged incompetent in a court of law. So, these are people that stay outside and stay drunk all the time. And they're decorating the end of our driveway with beer cans. Ronnie just picked up a bottle. No, it was a can. Looks like a red can. So, I can't stand it because I can tell what's going on and saying, well, you knew. Well, no, yeah, I know. What I see is these people are being deceptive and that they are trying to say that they have some type of authority over me and my son, when in reality they don't know us, have never talked to us, have never interacted with us, have never spoken to us, have never communicated verbally or non-verbally with us, have never been to our apartment. We don't go to theirs. There is no reason at all for them to be saying that. And you can tell whoever's in that car is staying in that car that he took that checkbook to. So there's no reason for that person to be deceptive and hiding their identity that way if what they're doing is honest. And that's part of what I see go on over and over again. So their purpose is to be deceptive. They know deliberately that they are choosing to be deceptive. They're not confused about anything. They're not, oh, gee, we thought it was okay. They're making sure that I'm not informed and that I don't know. And see how they're all laughing and drinking and stuff. They know what they're doing. Roland didn't tell me where he was going either. It was keys that he was getting out of his pocket. I thought I saw his cell phone in his hand, but he left right as that aircraft was passing over. You know, the gray shirt keeps popping in and out of Ronnie's white car. So, you know, I could tell there was somebody in that front right seat of that Impala that the drunkard woman drives because the guy, when he had that gray sweatshirt on, he opened that door, he reached around as though he was trying to reach around somebody, and then he started talking to that person. Now he's going up the stairwell next door to Pat and Ronnie's second floor apartment next door. Don't know him. I've never seen him before either. He looks like a new player. And they do this to me and Jake all the time. I mean, it's unbelievable. They are so focused on lying and playing this game that they're playing. You know, it's just staggering to me how anybody with a badge could say that these are their informants and that they supervise their informants and know what they're doing and have confirmed everything they're saying is true when I'm videotaping and proving they haven't had any contact with me or Jake. And Roland was the one who answered the door, wasn't me. I wasn't even in the living room. I was in Jake's bedroom with the door closed by the time she knocked on the door. And why would she ask Roland if she could use Roland's phone if she's standing over there with a phone in her hand? Ronnie's got a phone. They all have phones. They all use them. So she used Roland's phone probably to falsify some type of contact with me or consent from me by walking up on our porch. And I'll just have to tell Roland they better not ever show their face over here again. I need to use your phone. I don't answer the door when people like that come knocking, because they do come knocking, and they haven't in a while because I kicked them all to the curb and told them to take a hike, and that's what it was. She used Roland's phone, and Roland gave consent without my knowledge because I was in Jake's bedroom with the door closed. I've got an audio tape that'll prove that. Okay, now, yeah, see, Ronnie's yelling so that the person in the car can hear what he's saying. He pointed his hand in that direction, and his head and everything was pointing that way, so somebody's over there. She just walked up on our porch to fake contact with me and consent from me is what she did. If Roland gave it to her, he did it without my knowledge. And anybody that's ever given consent from me to any type of representation, financial transaction, or otherwise, has done it without my knowledge. I've told Roland explicitly I do not consent to searches. Anybody asks you, and I don't consent to monitoring or supervision. And nobody has the right to represent me or Jake. You know, that's it. So that's what it was, because that look on Roland's face when he left told the story. It's the same game. Ain't nothing else to say, is there? They're not going to be able to argue that, well, we thought it was okay. She used Roland's phone. They used to play that game with me, and they'd come over there and ask me if they could use my phone. It wasn't them, it was other people that I don't know the names of that don't even live here. And then, they, you know, I was like, nope, sorry. And so Roland left. He didn't even take Fifi and Red out. When I came home, it was about 1:20, I came home, Roland was in Roland's room, and I went to the bathroom first, and then I made a phone call to Kelly Services, and then I went into Jake's room, and then I walked to our door and let Gizmo out, and Ronnie wasn't over there. Ronnie's car wasn't there. And the drunkard woman and the drunkard man were not there, and the man with the gray sweatshirt wasn't there. So, and CP just took a piece of shit out of the cat box. So all this is going on without my knowledge, and I don't know exactly what it is. But Roland can't say that he had my consent, or that I knew what was going on, because I didn't have any knowledge of it. I've got an audio recorder right here, and I can prove it. And I've been sending text messages, too, to Facebook, so plenty of evidence available on the public record to prove that their testimony is false. I'll post this video, too, on YouTube, so, you know, those people out there have screamed threats at me when Jake and I came home one night. We just got out of the center and came up the stairs and didn't have any contact with them, and they started screaming over in Ronnie's second-floor apartment. We're waiting for me and Jake to come home, and started screaming cuss words at me, calling me a bitch and stuff. And told me I better close our door and get inside our apartment or else. So it's a threat of violence, and Jake was with me too, and they didn't address me specifically. They said, "You better close that door." So they were threatening Jacob as well. And they were saying that, oh, she's videotaping. Well, yeah, that's not the first time they've acted that way, so of course I'm videotaping it. And you can review the videos and see that. I've got webcam footage of it too, so it's happened over and over again, and it's not anything that I'm provoking them by videotaping them. So I'm guessing now that Roland got an invitation to go somewhere, and he did not deliver that to me, didn't say anything, which I can prove because it's on this video I'm making right now. So why would he think that had anything to do with me, and why would he think that I knew what he was going to do? He's never stated anything to me about going anywhere to testify or protect myself from a warrant or a search or anything, and he leaves. He'll leave like that without saying anything to me when this kind of stuff goes on. Then he's doing it to protect himself. So he gives consent to the searches, or gets the notification of a search, or is being invited someplace, and you can tell because he's so secretive about it. And, you know, she didn't say, hey, I mean, if you review my audio, you'll hear she didn't say, hey. And I even asked Roland, what did she want? He said, oh, she just wanted to use my phone. So you see, the goal is to be deceptive. The goal is to deliberately deceive me. Well, I took calculus. I don't have a problem balancing my checkbook. I've taught decimals and fractions all day long. Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry. Used to tutor Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 geometry. So, you know, it's not because I need somebody to check up on my check writing skills. I don't have a checking account. The only debit card that I have is my Walmart card and my child support card. The Walmart card is a prepaid card. And I don't have any other money except for a paper check that I got from Subway. So I need to videotape myself until I leave to go pick up Jake. But obviously there's reasonable doubt to prove that no, there's no reason for anybody to assume that I consented. You know, I should have turned on my video camera as soon as I heard the woman knock. I didn't know it was her, though, because I was sitting in this chair, and I heard her coming up the stairs. And as soon as I heard somebody coming up the stairs, I immediately went to Jake's bedroom and closed the door. And when I closed that door, then Roland went and answered the door when she started knocking. and he didn't say anything at all. And I was in Jake's bedroom, you can tell, because I sent Facebook updates. You can check my text message and see the time on them. And I also have it on this audio recorder here. So, but definitive proof would be to include video as well, not just audio monitoring. And that's the part that really makes the whole thing just really very suspicious, because if you're going to monitor somebody, why would you just use audio? And if they're consenting to everything you're doing, why would you need to monitor them anyway with surveillance equipment and documentation and such like that? And if you wanted a definitive proof, why would you just use audio recording? You know, I mean, isn't that basic? It's just real basic, isn't it? Those people don't know me or Jake and have never spent a dime on me or my son and have never gotten my consent to do anything. And that consent would have to have been given explicitly, voluntarily, without duress, and with full and complete disclosure to me about what I'm consenting to, not just a nod or a facial expression. Those are arguments that don't stand up. I've got case law that I printed out that says that. Those are the laws for searches that are agreed to verbally, and police officers are strongly advised now that any time they receive any type of verbal consent or nonverbal consent to any type of searches, that they videotape it. So that is now expected, and police officers are equipped with both audio and video to prove that. And what I read was if you go into court with a search that's supposed to prove that, if the other person, if the judge sees a document, oh, it's got marked on it as an X, or assumed consent is indicated on the record from the police officer, if it's only assumed consent, then the judge has to automatically assume that it was not consented to until he questions the person who gave the assumed consent and determines that they actually did give full and complete consent with full knowledge of what they were consenting to without duress or fear. Gee, I've got videotape of them threatening to kill me, or one of their snitches anyway, text messages from Eva threatening to kill me, and, you know, them threatening physical violence. Even if I had consented, I'm pretty sure that would prove duress. Most people would consent to anything. Somebody was threatening you and your child with those types of behaviors. So that would prove duress, and the consent would not be agreed to by a judge. So plenty of evidence there, you know, and it's just real basic. All you have to do, if you have a case against somebody or you need to monitor them, you can get audio and video search warrants that can be up to 90 days. You have to submit those requests for that type of search warrant. Has to be approved, and it can only be indicated in certain cases, not just any old case, where you're monitoring somebody because you think you need to. There has to be serious criminal activity alleged, and it has to be proven by evidence presented by a police officer to a judge who has to approve that. And it's only for 90 days, and once the audio and the video warrants are issued for the monitoring, then the judge has to review that evidence as it's collected to make sure that it's being collected properly under the correct Department of Justice guidelines, and that documentation, chain of custody, and all those types of things are being followed according to laws. Nobody has the right to supersede those procedures. Those procedures are all outlined by law. Police officers are required to do that. Private citizens don't get to just do something different because they're not cops, so the law doesn't apply to them. Was it the 15th, 16th, 17th Amendment says that no state or government agency has the authority to override the laws of the Constitution of the United States. So even if you're a private citizen and you decide you want to monitor somebody, the scope of the monitoring by a private citizen is only for the purpose of protecting the private citizen. It is not to allege or provide proof of a crime. And if private citizens are used to do that routinely, then they are to be treated as though they are themselves police officers, and then the guidelines that police officers have to follow are enforced at that point. So even if you're a private citizen doing it and turning it into a cop, the same guidelines apply as though you were a police officer. In other words, you can't just sit back and do this and say that it's okay because you're a private citizen. So all of it is nothing but complete circus, pretend cop games. Now they're all down there on the porch down there. I don't even know who that black guy is in the gray sweatshirt, but he's acting real nervous. The drunkard woman just went around the far side of the apartment building next door, or to that ground floor apartment over there. And the guy in the gray shirt, he's acting real nervous. He's not drinking. He's talking to Pat. Pat's in Pat's car now. So, and it looks like Ronnie is using a cell phone. So, yeah, they did have another phone they could have used. Or is it the drunkard man on the phone? Oh, it's the drunkard man. Yeah. So they had cell phones to use. She didn't need to ask Roland for a phone. And Pat was upstairs in her apartment next door, too, so she didn't need to come over here and ask Roland to use his phone. And I didn't give any type of consent to anything, and had no knowledge of the request of any type of notification or invitation to participate or testify or anything like that. Whatever it is, I don't know, because nobody's ever told me. I'm just trying to figure this out. Calling me delusional because I don't get it right. Well, I'm sorry. I'm the one trying to fill in the blanks here because nobody will tell me. And, you know, just looking at me like you're about to have a bowel movement does not count as consent or an invitation or notification. Sorry. These are all, to me, circus games of people that some cop has put up to this because this cop has found some way to circumvent the law or thinks he has and is allowing people to do this and taking documentation from private citizens who don't know me and my son and assuming that they're actually telling the truth. And, you know, why would you make that assumption? You know, is my question. And see, now it looks like the guy in the gray sweatshirt went over to the Impala and he started the engine of the Impala. So what, he's just there to assist? Babysitting the drunks? Designated non-drunk snitch? And they probably all have records. They go to jail for it. It won't matter to them. It's probably their second home. Now the drunkard woman and the drunkard man are embracing. So, no notification of anything has been delivered to me today or any other day, ever. And I should have surmised, if you're arguing that I should have surmised, and you're obviously stating that the only way I could have known is if I surmised it because you didn't tell me explicitly. So the way to find out would be to get Roland's cell phone records, which you can do with some cell phone companies. You can go to a website for your cell phone company, and some cell phone companies will list your text messages and they'll list the phone numbers that you called and the phone calls you received and missed calls and all that stuff. So, but I don't ever use Roland's phone, so. Well, now the drunkard man's gone to his car. It's the red four-door. He's leaning in his front seat. I would never do something like this. I would never do something like this, and I'm not going to be a party to it because it looks very criminal to me. And, you know, it's not me trying to be cooperative, but this is outrageous government conduct by any stretch of the imagination. Even if you try to be conservative and try to dumb it down so that it doesn't look like they're doing anything wrong, there's still no way you can get around the law. because the law is what it is. And if these people are stealing taxpayer dollars, and it's a kickback scheme is what it looks like, then they're stealing, and they've been stealing, and somebody's going to pay attention to that sooner or later. And then shit, fuck me running, but I ain't going to have a damn thing to do with that because I ain't going to jail for anybody. You know, even if they try to say I consented to it, they'd go out and buy cases of beer. That's not even close to being any type of expense that you can justify to taxpayers. Now, the drunkard man got something out of the drunkard woman's back seat, a bag, a white bag, and she just opened her passenger door and opened and closed and talked to whoever was in her front passenger seat. The drunkard man got back into his red four-door, and now they're all talking real loudly. And it's like the drunkard man started his car, and the drunkard woman's car is still running. There's the guy with the gray sweatshirt on. He looked like he was sneaking something, stealing something when he moved, whatever he moved from Ronnie's car to the white Impala, like it was something he was doing that was criminal. Why would I give consent to somebody like that? Okay, the drunkard man is leaving. Now the drunkard woman, she's got her alcohol beverage in her hand and is getting into her driver's seat. It's an open container. They keep their alcohol in their shed and they'll go in there and pour it. Now the guy with the gray sweatshirt is carrying a bag, you know, like one of those onion bags. He's getting into the back seat of the, he just put that bag into the back seat of the woman's white. Oh, he's getting into the front seat. So whoever was in that car got out that he was talking to. I thought I heard a car door slam. Because he was talking to somebody when he leaned in. I don't know who he was talking to. So if it